St. Clement's Hospital in Monrovia was a monumental building, with faded bricks and an air of abandonment that seemed to repel visitors. The story goes that, before it was closed, doctors had witnessed inexplicable events, doors closing by themselves, voices echoing without origin, patients disappearing without a trace. Closed for more than 30 years, the hospital has become a place avoided by locals, but a living legend for the curious. Fernanda, Rafael, Beatriz and Carlos were part of a group of friends who were passionate about mysteries. However, unlike their usual explorations of urban stories, the proposal that night went further. Beatriz, always the bravest, suggested that they explore São Clemente and stay there until dawn. "If nothing happens, we can at least take some good photos," she said, laughing but not hiding her anxiety. At 11 p.m., they parked the car a few meters from the building. The wind seemed to carry with it a distant murmur, and the air, even outside, was heavy. The hospital's broken windows looked like empty eyes watching, while the main entrance, partially boarded up, seemed to hold a long-hidden secret. "Right, everyone with their flashlights?" asked Rafael, trying to sound confident. Everyone nodded. "If anyone wants to give up, there's still time." But no one wanted to be the first to retreat. As they entered, footsteps echoed through the empty lobby, as if the building were absorbing the sounds and returning them with a ghostly reverberation. The tiled floor was worn, but still showed the outlines of what had once been a busy hospital. There were signs indicating different wards: surgery, maternity, pediatrics. Curiosity led them first to the main corridor, where they found old photos hanging on the walls. Although covered in dust, the images were disturbing. The faces of the doctors and patients seemed to be looking directly at them. Carlos was the first to notice something strange. "Those pictures look different than when we came in." Beatriz rolled her eyes. "You're imagining things." But when she looked again, she became uneasy. The eyes of the people in the photos seemed to follow them. As they climbed the stairs to the second floor, the temperature suddenly plummeted. Fernanda rubbed her arms. "It's just because the place is closed and old," she tried to rationalize. However, Rafael pointed out, if that were the case, why was it warmer down there? Arriving on the second floor, they found a room with old medical equipment, such as heart monitors and syringes still organized in rusty drawers. "That should have been removed, shouldn't it?" asked Carlos, confused. He touched a stretcher, which still had a clean sheet on it. A low, rhythmic sound echoed, "Footsteps." "What was that?" Beatriz whispered, but no one answered. Rafael went to the door and shone his light down the corridor. It was empty, but the footsteps seemed closer. "It's the haunted building introducing itself," he tried to joke. However, none of them managed to laugh. The group decided to continue. They entered another room, where there was a large, cracked mirror on the wall. As they shone a light into it, Beatriz shouted, pointing at the reflection. Everyone looked, but only saw their own faces. "I swear, there was something there," she said, agitated. Suddenly, Beatriz's recorder switched itself on. A weak, distorted voice repeated 3 words, "Get out, while you can." Carlos tried to turn off the device, but it kept working. The voice seemed to be getting closer. Rafael insisted on exploring further, even though the others wanted to leave. "If there's something here, I want to know what it is," he said, determined. The group reluctantly went down another corridor. The air became even heavier, and a hum began to fill the space, increasing in intensity until the group entered an abandoned operating room. In the center of the room, there was a metal table covered in a spotless white sheet, despite the dirt around it. Rafael approached to lift the sheet, but before he could, the lights of the lanterns began to flicker. An intense chill ran through the room, and a clear, feminine voice sounded, "You shouldn't be here." Beatriz screamed and ran to the door, but it was now inexplicably locked. Fernanda tried to follow her, but tripped over something on the floor. Raphael knelt down to help and saw that it was an old diary with a faded cover. He opened it and began to read aloud. The diary belonged to a doctor called Dr. Estevez, who had worked at São Clemente until its closure. The pages detailed strange experiments carried out on terminally ill patients. According to the notes, the experiments not only failed, but also resulted in unexplained phenomena. "They are still here. They never left," said the last page. At that moment, the cracked mirror began to emit a faint glow. When they looked into it, they saw something they couldn't explain, reflections of people who weren't in the room. They moved, looked directly at their friends and muttered words that could not be understood. The lights flashed frantically, and the sounds of footsteps, laughter and whispers filled the space. The group tried to run, but the hospital seemed to change as they ran. The corridors no longer led to the lobby, but to other wards, as if the building had a life of its own. Finally, they came to a door they didn't recognize. When they opened it, they were back in the main lobby. The exit was unblocked, but when they looked back, they saw pale figures watching them from the windows. They ran to the car, driving in silence to the city. No one could explain what had happened, but the tape recorder had the answer. On it, incomprehensible voices and sounds were recorded.